I've been an MG enthusiast since, I don't know, a long time ago, early 50s, I suppose, I got interested in MGs. And it was quite a long time before I was able to come to England, but the first place I wanted to come was Abingdon. And there are a number of places to visit. Of course, back in the old days, the first place I always tried to go to was the factory and take a tour through the works and see what was going on there. And over the years, I made a lot of friends. It's been just a wonderful association with a beautiful community. I think when the factory closed in 1980, a lot of us were very sad that there'd be no longer any works. And I heard more enthusiasts say over the years that, well, when you come to, why go to Abingdon? Why not go someplace else when you go to England? Because there's nothing there. Well, there's a lot here, really. There are places such as the Midget pub.
The Midget pub, frequented by MG workers before the plant closed, is now a popular neighborhood pub. Its car club emblems and old photos make all MG enthusiasts immediately feel at home. Just step right up to the bar and order yourself an old speckled hen.
What is the origin of the speckled hen beer?
Well, it was named, a nickname given to a prototype, and in 1929 the MGs was first formed, and then 1979 there was a jubilee held in Abingdon, which is a 50-year jubilee, to commemorate the MGs, and of course they named, Moreland Brewery named the beer the Speckled Hen to commemorate that particular car.
You can still see some of the original buildings at the factory site.
The leather company was actually here first. This building, which is A block, was one of the leather company's buildings, and they sold it to Morris in the first place to set up as the MG car company.
I see.
Which was, I'm not sure of the exact date, it was in the 20s sometime.
So that must be a pretty old sign then.
Yes, I should say that probably goes back to before the war, that one. But the Pavlova Leather Company was always sort of tied up with the MG because they were virtually surrounded by them. Yes,
oh, wow.
This here is A block, which is the one there, which you can see there. And then that shows where the testing track used to be. And then they later built B block out there, which has all been gone now. But it shows where the clubhouse actually is there. That's the clubhouse on that one there. But it comes from before the Second World War anyway, I believe, that particular map.
And where were the MG buildings?
That's the one. We're standing just there. On there.
This building here has been built since then, or was this old metal building here?
That's the original. It's the original building. It's been reclad all around the outside. But the original structure and the roof is as it was originally.
Oh.
That is called A block. That was the original MG works, and it's the one that's shown on that picture there.
There's another building there on the work site that does have a plaque that's worth seeing. Now, today in July of 1990, we know that the MG Car Club has finally relocated to Abingdon and will always have an office on Cemetery Road. That's very pleasurable because that's something else to visit.
It was in September of 1930 that I first drove along this road in my M-Type to keep an appointment with Cecil Kimber to see if he would agree that this MG Car Club thing that one or two of us had decided should be formed was a good thing or not. He agreed, which made life a lot easier. neither he nor I, in our wildest fantasies, would have thought that 60 years on, we would be here opening the club headquarters next door to where we were then talking.
The Magic Midget pub is here, and one of my favorite places to visit has always been the Boundary House, because it's a neat pub located on Oxford Road, just out of town. It's called the Boundary House because it actually was on the very boundary of the end of the town of Abingdon. And I don't know how long it's been a pub, but I think probably since the early 1970s, maybe late 1960s. But back in the 1930s, when MG was in its heyday, was coming to the attention of the world press, was establishing itself as the car which anybody around the world would know meant sports car, then at that period of time, the man who started MG lived here in Abingdon, and he lived in this very house. It wasn't a pub then, but it was called the Boundary House, and he lived here, he raised his family here, and more importantly, he entertained, you know, on these grounds, in the backyard, in the garden. He entertained such notables as Goldie Gardner and George Easton and Bobby Colrosh and all the big names in MG racing back in that period of time.
We'd like to present this painting of Cecil Kimber and print, and we hope that you hang it in the Boundary House. Thank you.
The Boundary House, the home of Cecil Kimber, the founder and director of the MG Car Company. On these premises, many of the great figures of motorsport were entertained. This plaque was presented by the New England MGT Register Limited on the occasion of their Circuit of Britain, July 1990.
But this plaque, it means a lot to me, and I think it should mean something to everyone in the register. Not only does it identify what happened here and who lived here and who Kimber was, but it lets the world know that we were here. And forever, we'll let the world know that we came on this trip 3,000 miles across the sea, 89 crazy cars and almost 200 people. And we were here. It shows that MG has meaning.
MG enthusiasts who think there's nothing left in Abingdon only have to come as far as the Boundary House, and I'm sure that they'll be tempted to go much further than that and take a look around town and know that this is the place to come if you're an MG enthusiast.